सो आई थिंक इट्स 5:10 वी हैव वेटेड फॉर 10 मिनट्स। मैं इसको स्टार्ट कर लेता हूँ और उसके बाद अगर आपके कोई क्वेश्चंस हों तो we'll have some time for that as well in the end. One of the reasons that we talk about open geospatial software is the fact that it has a global community that generally does not have a lot of affordability. मतलब वो ज़्यादा ऑफ द शेल्फ सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं खरीद सकते और जब वो ऑफ द शेल्फ सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं खरीद सकते तो फिर उनके लिए जो अच्छा ऑप्शन होता है वो ये होता है कि वो यहाँ पर ये जो फ्री और ओपन सोर्स सॉफ्टवेयर हैं इनको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल करें और जो भी जीआईएस रिलेटेड टास्क्स हैं वो कर लें। अभी जैसे हम यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर हैं सो वी लकीली हैव ऑप्शंस बट आफ्टर दैट व्हेन वी आर नॉट कनेक्टेड वी नीड टू हैव skills more than options because skills serves for a longer period of time. And this actually enables a bigger part of the society and population to do GIS related things. तो इसके लिए बहुत सारी यूटिलिटीज़ हैं। सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको बताता चलूँ कि ओपन जियो स्पेशियल कंसोर्शियम जो है, ये एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो अ, इनके जनरल स्टैंडर्ड्स को मीट करता है। अब सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं क्या? बहुत ज़्यादा हम बात करते हैं तो हम अमूमन कहते हैं कि यार स्टैंडर्ड्स ये हैं कि एक गाड़ी चल रही है तो उसमें सीट बेल्ट होनी चाहिए। सॉफ्टवेयर के केस में स्टैंडर्ड्स मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द पोर्शन इस तरह से डिफाइंड है कि एचटीएमएल एक स्टैंडर्ड है, जावास्क्रिप्ट एक स्टैंडर्ड है और उसके अंदर फिर ऑब्वियसली देयर आर सब डेफिनिशंस एज़ वेल। सो जनरली जो पर्सपेक्टिव है वो ये वाला है और ये फिर क्या करता है कि ये इस तरह की सारी चीज़ों को एक हार्मोनाइज़ेशन की तरफ ले जाता है ओजीसी जो है। जनरली अगर डिफेंस और इंटेलिजेंस की मैपिंग है, क्लाइमेट एंड डिज़ास्टर्स की मैपिंग है, हेल्थ की मैपिंग है, स्मार्ट सिटीज़ से रिलेटेड मैपिंग है, मेटावर्स से रिलेटेड मैपिंग है एंड दिस इज़ एक्चुअली एक्सेप्शनली गुड बिकॉज़ जो हमारा कॉग्निटिव डोमेन है, उसमें हम अभी तक जो मैप्स बना रहे हैं, वो 2 चीज़ों को तो बहुत अच्छी तरह एड्रेस करते हैं मैप्स उनका उस कॉग्निटिव डोमेन के अंदर। एक हमारे वो जिसको हम कहते हैं डिक्लेरेटिव नॉलेज कि कौन-सी चीज़ किधर है। दूसरी जिस चीज़ को वो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्गली एड्रेस कर रहे हैं, उसको हम लोग कहते हैं कॉन्फ़िगरेशनल नॉलेज। एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जो जाने वाली नॉलेज है, वो। और ये 2 ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जिनको चूँकि बहुत प्रॉपर्ली एड्रेस हो रही हैं, तो हमें कहना चाहिए ज़्यादातर कोई मसला एज़ सच नहीं होता। और हम समझते हैं कि ठीक है, बट एक फैक्टर है कि हमारी एक नॉलेज होती है जो कॉन्फ़िगरेशनल होती है। कॉन्फ़िगरेशनल नॉलेज में ये होता है कि हमारे इर्द-गिर्द क्या मौजूद है। एक मैप कॉन्फ़िगरेशनल नॉलेज को डेफ़िनिटली इनेबल करता है, बट उसकी सेंस को उतना उतना प्रोवोक नहीं करता, उतना उसको स्ट्रॉन्गली सेंसिबिलिटी नहीं क्रिएट करता। बट जब मेटावर्स की बात करते हैं, तो ये उस कॉन्फ़िगरेशनल सेंस को क्रिएट करता है, आपको एक फर्स्ट पर्सन एक्सपीरियंस देता है। और वो जो सिचुएशन है, उसमें ओपन जियोस्पेशियल कंसोर्टियम के स्टैंडर्ड्स होना, फिर सॉफ्टवेयर बनना, इट इज़ एक्चुअली गिविंग बर्थ टू अ वेरी गुड एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग इंडस्ट्री। तीसरी चीज़ जो हमारे पास है वो क्लाउड नेटिव जियोस्पेशियल है। अब आई मीन देयर इज़ अ लॉट दैट हैपेंस ऑन द क्लाउड ऑन अ रेगुलर बेसिस। और अगर आप देखें तो बहुत सारे जो इनके पार्टनर्स हैं, उनके वो सारे प्रोप्राइटरी सॉफ्टवेयर बनाने वाली ही कंपनियाँ हैं या ऑर्गनाइज़ेशंस हैं और वो चूँकि बिलीफ ये है एकेडेमिया में भी और कमर्शियल ऑर्गनाइज़ेशंस में भी कि अ, these things are very enabling. I mean, open software is very enabling. अब आहिस्ता-आहिस्ता आप देखेंगे तो आपको अंदाज़ा होगा। दूसरा इसकी एक कलेक्शन मौजूद है और ये जो कलेक्शन है ये ओएस जियो लाइव पर अवेलेबल है। यू जस्ट आपको कुछ भी नहीं करना, रजिस्ट्रेशन तक नहीं करनी है। आपने जाना है, डाउनलोड पे क्लिक करना है और आपके पास एक रेडी टू इंस्टॉल, रेडी टू रन सोर्स फॉर्ज का लिंक आ जाएगा। उस सोर्स फॉर्ज के लिंक पे आप जब क्लिक करेंगे, तो आप बहुत आसानी से कोई सा भी वेरिएंट डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। मुझे जो बग्स के हवाले से जिसने कम सबसे कम तंग किया है वो 12.0 है। आई मीन 15 तक आ गए हैं और अगर आप देखें तो per week there's a good number of downloads. So if I go like for a bigger graph, I realize that there are around like 70 to 80 people in some parts of the year that would actually be downloading it. And overall, there's 1,000 people on a monthly basis who are downloading the software. So about 12,000 people downloading and working on them is fine because अब हमारे पास जब क्लाउड अवेयर की बात करते हैं या ऑनलाइन की बात करते हैं जिसमें ओपन लेयर है, जावास्क्रिप्ट है, पोस्टग्रेस है, तो वो फिर उसमें ओएस जियो लाइव उसमें थोड़ा-सा निकल भी जाता है क्योंकि कई दफ़ा लोग सिर्फ़ पोस्टग्रेस डाउनलोड कर वेब बेस्ड एप्लीकेशंस बना लेते हैं। तो वो फिर इन सॉफ्टवेयर से दूर रहते हैं। वो फिर पोस्टग्रेस ही डाउनलोड करते हैं। पोस्टग्रेस जब डाउनलोड करते हैं तो उसकी बाइनरीज़ होती हैं। बाइनरीज़ आर प्रीटी नॉट वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स टू डाउनलोड एंड वर्क विथ। तीसरी चीज़ जो यहाँ पर इम्पोर्टेंट है वो ओएस जियो लाइव की ये रिपॉजिटरी है। ये वो सारे स्क्रिप्ट्स हैं जो कि ये ओएस जियो लाइव की सीडी जो डॉट आईएसओ है उसको बनाने के लिए इस्तेमाल होते हैं। जो भी डेवलपर है वो पहले युबंटू का एक फ्लेवर है लर्नर्स युबंटू कहलाता है। वो उसको डाउनलोड करता है, उसके ऊपर कमांड लाइन पे जाके ये स्क्रिप्ट्स रन करता है। जब ये स्क्रिप्ट रन करते हैं तो उसके बाद फिर ये सारे के सारे अ वर्चुअल मशीन्स या वो सारे के सारे जो आईएसओज़ हैं वो बन जाते हैं और वो पैकेज करके ऑनलाइन कम्युनिटी को दे देते हैं। मैं आपको बता ये इसलिए रहा हूँ कि हो सकता है कि जी, जी। कोई कुछ सवाल पूछ रहे थे आप? अच्छा, अब सिचुएशन ये बताने की जो ख़ास वजह है, वो ये है कि बहुत सारे केसेज़ ऐसे भी हैं जहाँ पर आप ये पैकेज करना चाहते हैं, किसी ऑर्गनाइज़ेशन में आप काम कर रहे हैं, बट आप चाहते हैं कि अननेसेसरी सॉफ्टवेयर निकाल दें उसमें से। So that's where this bootable USB setup is going to be very useful for you. इसमें जो .sh के स्क्रिप्ट्स हैं, वो मैं आपको प्रॉब्ली किसी बात के टाइम में बताऊँगा। जी। ठीक है, वो मैं आपको किसी बाद के टाइम में बताऊँगा कि वो स्क्रिप्ट्स कैसे यूज़फुल हो सकते हैं। बट जनरली इसमें ये डॉट एचएस के स्क्रिप्ट्स होते हैं, उनको आप मॉडिफ़ाई करके अपना बेसिक जो ऐप की कॉन्फ़िगरेशन है, सिस्टम की कॉन्फ़िगरेशन है, उसको चेंज कर सकते हैं। एंड इफ यू डू दैट यू विल हैव अ स्केल्ड डाउन वर्जन ऑफ इट। हो सकता है कोई बंदा वेब में इंटरेस्टेड ही ना हो तो वो टॉमकैट इंस्टॉल ही ना करे। कोई बंदा जो है वो हो सकता है इंटरेस्टेड ही ना हो पोस्टग्रेस में, वो चाहे कि मायस्क्वेल यूज़ करे सिर्फ। सो दैट्स अ पॉसिबिलिटी। या एसक्यूएल लाइट यूज़ कर ले। इसके बाद फिर ये एक सॉफ्टवेयर है क्यूजीआईएस। आई मीन यू नो दैट दिस इज़ द मेनस्टे। इसी तरह ग्रास है, ये भी इसका मेनस्टे है। इसी तरह एक तीसरा सॉफ्टवेयर यहाँ पर एक मेनस्टे है जिसका नाम है ऑर्फियो टूलबॉक्स। एंड दीज़ आर एक्चुअली यूटिलिटीज़ जो कि बहुत कॉमनली जो हैं वो यूज़ होती हैं। अब इसमें भी अगर आप देखें तो दे हैव लाइक दीज़ गिट्स अवेलेबल। तो मैंने यहाँ पर एहतियातन ओएसजीओ लाइव में से जो ग्रास जीआईएस है उसका गिट यहाँ खोल लिया था। इसी तरह से अगर आप ओटीबी का गिट लें तो ओटीबी का भी गिट एग्ज़िस्ट करता है। ग्रास इज़ अ मिक्स ऑफ इमेज प्रोसेसिंग, सैटेलाइट रिमोट सेंसिंग डेटा रास्टर प्रोसेसिंग एंड थर्ड इसका जो फंक्शन है वो है वेक्टर का। और उसके बाद फिर दिस हैज़ गॉट लाइक सिंस अ वेरी लॉन्ग हिस्ट्री ऑफ डेवलपमेंट इन जीआईएस, आई वुड से अबाउट 10, 20, 30, 35, 32 years of history almost that it has of development, and which means that these are like very much evolved to the day. पुराने भी स्क्रिप्ट्स हैं, अभी के भी हैं। दूसरी बात, if you see the commits, I mean they're very latest commits. So this also is suggestive of the fact कि बहुत सारी चीज़ों में if there were bugs or there was issues, they were very appropriately addressed and people can actually go and comment and everything. And there are these contributors. So if at any point you feel like you would be a contributor, your name and your get ID will appear here. So that's a good thing. I mean, since you are GIS professionals and you want to be GIS professionals, I mean, this would not be a bad idea at all. उसके बाद इफ यू गो टू इसकी रिपोजिटरी तो इसमें भी इस तरह है। इसमें अलबत्ता मुझे नहीं लगता कि कंट्रीब्यूटर्स की लिस्ट इन्होंने दी हुई है, बट नेवरदलेस इट वर्क्स वेल। दिस इज स्पेसिफिक फॉर इमेज प्रोसेसिंग। and it's got a lot of machine learning and AI and data mining algos implemented. So this is one very, very positive aspect of it. And the fact is that you don't have to actually pay to get to start to using it. All that you have to do is use your internet. If you have a good connection, all is good. I'll go to GRASS back again, and I'll let you know that what GRASS is actually capable of. One of the good thing is that it will if you get into GRASS and if you start developing in for it, so इसमें पहली बात if you see, so there's a lot of processing options. एक raster का है, एक यहाँ पर कुछ scripts हैं, इसके Git में कुछ vector के हैं, कुछ visualization के हैं, कुछ imageries के हैं, these are photos and stuff. And some demo data available as well, and some Docker actually files as well. So if you want to run it on Docker, which I will introduce you at some later stage in one of the webinars. But the fact is that Docker is like amazing. So if you want to work on Docker, you would be like really good. मेरे पास एक application है, कभी मैं आपको वो I'll show you that. अब इसमें ये raster के सारे script आ गए, and this is a lot of them. So when you install the software, you will have them available. One thing that I really want to actually show you here is that if I would like to do, let's say, do zonal statistics. So there's a few things that you see here. So there is this Pi notebook. There is a main.c file as well. And then there is, the fact is that the script that was written back in 2007 is still there. It was like a very basic version of it and variant of it initially that was done. So it has got an implementation of C. So when you start working on these systems, you actually refresh your knowledge and understanding of C as a programming language. And then since a part of it is done in Python, and if you would like to, augment it, you could actually use these Python scripts on your, what do you call it? Spider, Python, वो जो होता है उसका पाइथन स्पाइडर का मेरे ख्याल से आई थिंक कोई वो है ऑनलाइन ब्राउजर में जो चलता है, मुझे अभी भूल रहा है। आई डोंट नो, आई हैव बीन यूजिंग इट एंड आई एम फॉरगेटिंग इट। तो वो आपके पास जो है वो एक पॉसिबिलिटी है कि वहां पर आप ये पाइथन नोटबुक चला सकें और आप उसके आउटपुट स्क्रीन पे देख लें। उसके बाद फिर ये कुछ डिस्प्ले रिलेटेड, डेटाबेस रिलेटेड स्क्रिप्ट्स हैं, एंड इफ यू सी दीज आर written in Python altogether and Python 3. So if you at any point want to improve them, change them, you can actually download the Git, change the script, improve it, recompile the software, install it on your computer, and it will actually work with your custom written script. So, you're actually becoming a part of the software development community. And once you do these kind of things, you actually get to know what kind of development in GIS you can contribute to altogether. So that's a very positive thing in the context of what students should be doing. So ये आपके पास जो है, और अगर आप देखें तो आपने spline interpolation पढ़ी होगी, but this is the binary spline interpolation. There is a surface IDW interpolation. There is RST interpolation. And the fact is that this is all available for rasters and vectors both. Now, software that you get from off-the-shelf services, you're probably going to get them for rasters, but you're not going to get them for vectors. So that's one thing that is, or maybe for vectors and not for raster. So that is one perspective that is always going to actually bother you. अब इसका score चूंकि C में लिखा हुआ है, that means that it's already a very fast and efficient utility. So I have this OSGeoLive downloaded. और मेरे पास ये जो OSGeoLive है मेरे डाउनलोड फोल्डर्स के अंदर यहाँ पर मौजूद है। And if I show you this, so I have this OSGeoLive 12 and I have the OSGeoLive 15. I have an Antex version as well. Antex is a very lightweight Linux version. So if you have an old computer and you want to do some of your GIS, you can do it on this, and you can actually install it on the bare metal. Like you can install it on the basic computer body of yours. यहाँ पर एक और चीज जो मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा वो ये कि ये 15 मैंने नहीं इंस्टॉल किया, 12 आई एम मोर कंफर्टेबल विद। सेम काइंड ऑफ यूटिलिटीज इन देम। जो सॉफ्टवेयर हैं जिस पे आप चला सकते हैं, आप तो ये कि एक तो या तो बेयर मेटल इंस्टॉलेशन कर लें। बेयर मेटल इंस्टॉलेशन ये होता है कि आप इसकी बूटेबल यूएसबी बनाएं ISO से, उस यूएसबी को अपने सिस्टम में लगाएँ, सिस्टम को स्टार्ट करें और वो आपको बूट इंस्ट्रक्शंस देगा। उसके बाद आप जैसे अपने डिस्क को यूज़ करना चाहें, उस तरह इंस्टॉल कर लें। तो डुअल बूट भी कर सकते हैं, सिंगल बूट भी कर सकते हैं, लिनक्स ओनली बूट भी कर सकते हैं। चूँकि आप स्टूडेंट हैं, चूँकि आप ये चीज़ें सीख रहे हैं ज़्यादातर, तो मैं आपको थोड़ा मुश्किल तरीका बताऊँगा और उसके लिए मैं आपसे थोड़ा-सा माज़रत-ख़्वाह भी हूँ। But it is better to go the hard way and install altogether uh, a single operating system, which should be Linux operating system on your computer, because it is going to actually mm, help you initiate development, because you know an operating system, you will actually get to learn an operating system that's very development friendly. So obviously there's going to be issues. There's going to be a lot of bugs and understanding how the system operating system works. But over the years, you're going to actually develop a very good attitude towards developing. Uh, but if you're not doing that, then you can actually use one of these softwares. एक ये आपका Hyper-V है. Hyper-V, if you go to the add or remove features, I'd rather search Windows features. So when I go there, I can actually pick, और यहाँ पर ये हाइपर वी आता है। कुछ सिस्टम्स के अंदर हो सकता है कि ना हो, बट जनरली विंडोज 10 में ये है। सो इफ यू गो फॉर द हाइपर वी थिंग, you can actually enable all of these. Quick create. So if you go for quick create, you can click on this and you're going to get this option of quick create on your screen. Quick Create is a very good thing in Windows actually, because what you could actually do is you can get any operating system other than Windows from the internet and download it. और ये आपको by default करता है। So अगर आप Windows 11 के development environment पे काम करना चाहते हैं, so even that is possible. 22 है, 20 है, 18 है, 22 is a good enough Linux. So you can download it from the internet. If you want to pick a local installation source, you can just pick the ISO file that you have downloaded, like the one that I have here, or is ISO file को आप select करें, and then your operating system will automatically be created for you. It definitely asks you a couple of questions. If you want me to answer those, that is pretty possible and not a very difficult thing, since I have a parallel installation already running, so I can show you how this installation is going to work as well. All that I have to do is select the ISO file, create a virtual machine. It's going to create that machine on its own. It's going to assign it resources. And the next thing is going to ask me if I would like to edit the settings. I can edit settings if I need to. At a point where I do not want to change those settings, I'm all fine. I barely have to do anything. All that I need to do is just let it go and select connect. The moment I do, this kind of a window is going to come up and it's going to start the installation for me. स्टार्ट का बटन है, वो विंडोज़ का अपना एक है, कोई इतना मुश्किल काम नहीं है, और ये मेरे पास हाइपर वी के ऊपर ओएस जियो लाइव 12 चलना शुरू हो गया है। अब ये जब स्टार्ट होगा तो उसके बाद फिर ये थोड़ी देर में मुझे बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट इट शुड शो मी सम इंस्टॉलेशन ऑप्शंस, एंड दोज़ इंस्टॉलेशन ऑप्शंस आर द ones that actually my system has started warming up as well, so I need to turn the air conditioning on. But generally speaking, what would really happen is that it's gonna start trying to install the services for me. I don't know if it's a little slow here for some reason, but I hope that's gonna work. The other option that I have is of the virtual box. Now, the virtual box option is something that I really like more than other options. One of the reasons for that is that virtual box was something that I've been using for a lot of years. काफ़ी अरसे से मैं कर रहा हूँ, and oh, it was not able to do anything. Okay, fine. So I'm going to stop it here, shut it down. Go to quick create again, and maybe pick the 15 one. Maybe that's one of the reasons. क्योंकि 12 बहुत पुराना पड़ा हुआ है मेरे पास, तो शायद उसकी वजह से there was some issue. I'm not sure, but maybe Hyper-V is Pacific. There you go. And I'll connect. Mhm. So far, it's saying the stars succeeded. And the irony is that I've actually worked on this computer, and then I removed it because all seems fine so far. Anyhow, I'll not let it take a lot of time, and if anyone needs like a Hyper-V thing, I'll probably do it some other time. But generally, since OSGeoLive is good, so I'll go with the OSGeoLive thing, and I'll wait for it to run on its own. When I do the OSGeo thing, इसमें ये होता है कि you create a new machine. So I'm just gonna say test machine here. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the machine type. So it's a Linux machine type, and it's not Debian, but it's a Ubuntu 64-bit machine. I'm going to assign it a given amount of memory. Since I have sufficient, so I can pick more, but I'll be fine with 1.5 almost. I'm going to create a virtual hard drive temporarily. VDI type are good because you can extend them, you can reduce them through command line. WHD, VMDK भी ठीक है, बट मुझे VDI में ज़्यादा आसानी हुई है मैनेज करने में। Dynamically allocated में ये होता है कि your disk size is going to increase as you know. This is again Hyper-V is having some issues, so I'll shut it down and I'll see what's wrong. Uh, but what really happened is that I'll go with the dynamically allocated. I'm going to assign it a certain amount of space, let's say 15 GB, or maybe 25 would be fine. And then, yeah, 25 would be fine. And it's not going to mess with my disk or anything. And then I'm going to pick these settings. One thing that you need to be careful of that if you want a breadth setting, because if you would like to access it from your browser, you can go for breadth setting. For the system part, you're going to pick storage, and from storage, you're going to pick the OSGeoLive disk. I'm going to select OK. I click start, and it's going to start OSGeoLive for me. Quite an easy thing to do. I mean, कोई ज़्यादा मुश्किल काम नहीं है। अगर आप चाहें तो सिर्फ इसको इस तरह रन कर लें या इंस्टॉल कर लें। मैं रन पे चला जाता हूँ। आप अगर नए सिरे से कर रहे हैं तो आपने सिर्फ और सिर्फ रन पे क्लिक करना है। And as soon as you click on the run button, you're gonna have this window appear in front of you. मुझे ये चीज़ बहुत ज़्यादा सूट कर रही है फ्रॉम इस वजह से कि मेरे पास बहुत ज़्यादा जो है वो हैं ऐसे रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं जिसमें मुझे मुख्तलिफ ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स के बीच में स्विच करते रहना पड़ता है। इट्स द सेम थिंग हियर दैट आई हैव। अब इसमें अगर आपने इसको इंस्टॉल करना है, तो आपने ये वाली बटन पे क्लिक करेंगे, ओपन करेंगे इसको और ये आपसे इंस्टॉलेशंस की डिटेल माँग लेगा कि आप क्या करना चाहते हैं। ऑल दैट यू नीड टू डू एज़ यूजुअल नॉर्मल इंस्टॉलेशन, मिनिमल इंस्टॉलेशन। आई विल गो फॉर लाइक जस्ट टू शो यू मैं मिनिमल कर लेता हूँ अभी। एंड आई एम नॉट इंस्टॉलिंग द थर्ड पार्टी सॉफ्टवेयर बिकॉज़ इफ आई डू, it will take a little more time than it usually is supposed to do. When it says erase disk, you do not have to worry because the disk that it will be erasing is not your disk on the system. It will be the disk here, यहाँ पर। और जो यहाँ पर जो आपके पास डिस्क आपने क्रिएट की थी ये वाली, ये इस VDI को करेगा। मतलब इसके अंदर का पार्ट, not the VDI is going to remain on the screen obviously. The VDI is definitely not going anywhere. So you can just install now and that's fine. LVM अगर आपने सेट करना है तो ये कॉम्प्लेक्स तो नहीं है पर थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है, बट यू जस्ट गो एंड क्लिक इंस्टॉल। बिकॉज आप एक वर्चुअल मशीन पे ही काम कर रहे हैं, यू कैन पिक योर लोकल टाइम here, and then you just have to go for continue, give a username, OSGeoLive कर देते हैं इसको, or password. I'm not going to put a very complex password, but nevertheless, आप चाहें तो you can have a good password if you want. Login automatically, required password is better usually. Good habit to have it like that, but nevertheless doesn't matter. It's going to start copying file, it's going to install, and that's going to be all. By the end of it, it's going to ask you to restart, and that's fine. So this is how it will go. This is the installation that I already have. This installation is the one that I'm using. One thing that you're going to see is you're going to be really puzzled by the smaller view of it. Uh, this does happen. So what you could do is you could actually scale it to about 150%, and it's going to fill up the screen for you. If you do not want to do the scale thing, you can actually then do another thing that is known as devices and install the guest edition CD. Usually we need the guest editions to do advanced work on it. But other than that, अगर आप guest edition ना भी install करें, so the system should be fair enough to help you work. Guest edition का फायदा ये होता है कि यहाँ पर जब आपने ये guest edition insert की, तो guest edition का जो आपको फायदा होगा वो ये होगा कि I'm not gonna upgrade it because that's gonna take a lot of time. And I'm gonna probably uh, save the machine state because I'm not worried about if it gets installed or not. Doesn't matter really for me. But the fact कि मेरे पास एक और machine चल रही है, so I'm gonna go with that machine here. Uh, this is a machine that I'm gonna get, and I'm gonna get a lot of things with it. अच्छा guest edition का फायदा क्या होता है? If I install the guest editions, I'm going to be able to actually use the audio input devices on it. I'll be able to manage the network settings better. I'll be able to use any of the connected USB devices that I have. I'll also be able to share folders. So I can pick a folder from my computer, any folder, like say I want to pick my C drive, and I can go to my C drive and just, or maybe E drive or any other drive, and then my system will be able to share, and I'm going to make it permanent, share files with that E drive. So I have files on my Windows, and I have files away from my Windows. So I'll be in a position to actually, do things on that. So that's a good thing, in my opinion, because that way I'll be, in a position to exchange files with my Windows. वो फिर उसके लिए, but the issue is that I'll need to install the guest editions altogether. And I can do the bi-directional drag and drop. So I drop, like pick something here, drop it there, pick some here, drop it in the Windows. So that's a good thing that it offers as a functionality. Nevertheless, this is my OSGeoLive machine. And it is something that all along I have always liked and preferred. So there's a reason. And then there is this password database. So everything that you're working on, like if you're using any of the applications that require software, password, uh, those application passwords are mentioned here. So if you're using GeoServer, Postgres, those passwords are given to you. You can use any of these passwords for that. There's a workshop as well. So if you click on the workshop installation, what it does is it will take you the OSGeoLive website on Mozilla Firefox that is already there, and it will help you install some workshop files from the internet. Uh, these workshop files are the ones that are going to be useful because if you would like to do extra exercises, then the one that I'm going to tell you today may be off. You should be able to do them. And this is like a workshop on managing your geospatial data with Postgres and PostGIS. Anyone would want to do it. And considering that both are configured, because if you have Postgres and you want to configure PostGIS, you might actually have to go through a lot of trouble. And that's where it becomes very useful to have OSGeoLive because all are like streamlined. And for every year that you would like these workshops, you can actually go, just click on the links. There's one for Map Bender. So if you would like to work on Map Bender, you need to know German, by the way. But nevertheless, I mean, we definitely do not have to. There must be some material in English as well. But these particular series, this particular series is in German. Other than that, there's this web workshop material for Map Bender here in English that you can actually work on. So that's one of the good things that you can probably use. Uh, Excuse me, guys. So the fact is that you're gonna have like sort of these workshops available to you. You download them, you just click on them, and some are going to be obviously PDF files, some are going to be presentations, some are going to be exercise files, scripts, and everything. So you can actually look for the things that are going to be useful for you in this regard. The other important thing that you can do with this OS Geo thing is you have actually a lot of sample data sets available. So if you go for the databases, sorry, not the databases, sorry for that. If you go for your sample databases, you'll have to go to your documents. And in your, sorry, yeah, the Jupyter, not the Spider, Jupyter notebook that I was referring to. Do you remember? I said, yeah, I've forgotten. So if you go here, you can actually get this data link. And the data link is going to take you to data. And these data sets are for all the software and the necessary workshops that you are going to find online. And since these data sets are there, you don't actually have to go and download any data. So that's a very, very useful perspective altogether. Uh, One thing that's very powerful in this software, in Linux environment is the command line utility. The command line utility is something that really helps out from the point of view of I would say working between directories and everything else. So if you're working on directories, if you're working on systems, I'll increase the font size here, uh, which require you to manipulate larger files or several files at a time. This is going to be your very friendly utility altogether. Talking about the software, this is a bit of repetition for many people who I have talked about it before. You have quite a few utilities, but we're going to go to the geospatial side. And if you look at it, we have a lot of browser clients that are available. I mean, and that's one good thing about OSGeoLive, that these are all together for a learner. So if you're learning something, if you're even working on something, it's an industrial scale and a commercial scale deployment you can have of your software. You have databases. This is for actually big spatial data raster, PGAdmin, I'm sure you're aware of. QGIS shape to PSQL. So if you have a lot of files and you would like to change them into PSQL files, so you can do a lot of import export. And that's perspective. You need to create obviously a username, a password, a connection and all. So if I go for like root, I hope it works. If it doesn't, then I'll have to change the Postgres setting, but it was root. I think I'll go to that text file again on the desktop. Postgres user, sorry. I was user and user. Mm, yeah, the 4 digits anyway, 4 letters. User and user, and then you're gonna have no database I've specified as such, but it's gonna try to connect. If I'm connected once, I could change some basic setting. Usually you have UTF as the encoding. Let it be. Sometimes you're gonna get and then you can export, import, add tables, whatever you would like to do. So generally speaking, you could do that. So I could pick any of my files that I just showed you from the exercise data, and I could put it into my Postgres database. But we're going to come to that later because right now I'm not doing Postgres. Uh, then you have other utilities that you have available. That is some desktop GIS software. GRASS is a very powerful software. I like GRASS 6 more than GRASS 7, but I would tell you, if you really need to do your good GIS work, rapid GIS work, you probably are going to like GRASS GIS 7 more than anything else. Of the other things that you would like to do is the QGIS desktop. OpenJump is a good software. QGIS, other than that, is a software as well that you're going to like. Saga GIS is powerful. UDIG as well. Saga GIS, for those who do not know, it's got a lot of actually geoscientific analysis algorithms implemented. So if you're going to do runoff analysis, if you're going to do water flow analysis, if you're going to do climate change studies, you're going to get a lot of, like, say, for instance, course of daily insolation. Now, there's not many people who would daily insolation or a certain latitude, but create bioclimatic variables, do anything that you would like to do, imagery classification, uh, there's a very serious OpenCV implementation in there. So you're gonna like ANNs, morphological filters, random forest classifiers, everything that's it. Stereo matching. I mean, who would have thought that you're gonna get it for so less? I mean, most of the software that you get for that are very expensive. So this is a photogrammetry specific utility that it has. You can go further actually, and you can actually get like uh I think I'm sure most of you, since you use GIS, you would realize that. And then there's the geostatistics utilities, and they are like never ending. So, and this is one person initially who started developing them, and I'm actually very much in awe of one person having done all of this and so very well. And the connection that you have to ODBC sources, so you can connect it with Oracle if you want, MySQL if you want, any other database that maybe ArcMap, and then you have the Postgres sources as well that you can connect to. Other than that, you have these analysis utility channels, compound, hydrology, lightning, visibility. They are like, this is too good. And then you have, like, say, for instance, if this is the wetness index, I mean, just for many people, it might not be very useful in idea, but if you're working on landslides and you want to identify potential probable hazard areas, so you can pretty easily do that because surface moisture is a very strong indicator of an area in the context of if it can lead to landslide there or not. And obviously, slope and other factors are considered alongside. So this is good. Morphometry, if you would like to do hypsometry, terrain analysis, roughness, convexity, everything is possible, ruggedness. So from that point of view, this is a good utility that I would want you to know of. Then you have these navigation and map utilities. Zygraph I personally like a lot. OpenStreetMap, you sure know about it. Spatial tools, OTB, Monteverdi, good enough. I mean, Mapnik Tyler that you have. This this is the Monteverdi applications. So from SAR, and you go further down, and you see just utilities available for image processing. If you would like to sharpen your image, you would envelop, ortho rectify maybe. These are some very good utilities that you will have available and would help you work on a variety of tasks that otherwise would not be very easy to attempt. Other than that, one utility that I would want to introduce you to is, and then there's these web services. So this IST-SOS is one thing that you would like to work on. IST-SOS, in the longer run, if you know, it implements actually uh, the protocol of connecting to online IoT devices. And not many people know that you can or do connect sensors to your computers or GIS uh, software. So this is something that can help you do that. And it's entirely written in Python, so that's a good thing. And then if obviously you can connect to databases and start getting your sensor data into your maps in real time. Now there's obviously a ArcMap alternative for that, but that ArcMap alternative is a very expensive one. And then you have these other utilities which are in general available here. I'll also want you to have a look at this Zygrip. This is a very good XY grip, and this is a very good utility for people who want to work on maps related to climate data. So grip file viewer it is, and it works really well. Other than that, you have these utilities that you can use. 52° North is a good software. They've got an SOS as well. That is, I mean, a setup that you're going to like for sensors and the connectivity to your GIS software. 52° North is, I think, managed by the ICT Netherlands. And then you have this quick start available for you. So, and this diagrams coming in real time, data request and everything. I mean, I really think that it is a sensor observation service. So, nevertheless, live and archive sensors operation. So, there's like from that point of view, it's something that you would really want to get an idea of and work with in the long run. रिवर्स पे सेंसर्स लगे होते हैं, पहाड़ों पे सेंसर्स लगे होते हैं, गाड़ियां जो आपका वो ट्रैफिक है उस पे सेंसर्स होते हैं, सो उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बड़ी अच्छी चीज है। उसके बाद ये छोटी मोटी यूटिलिटीज जो इतनी सारी और हैं, चाहे तो इनको भी यूज कर लें। ये अ, अगर आप देखें तो बहुत सारी स्पेशल डाटा की प्रोसेसिंग, टाइम सीरीज की प्रोसेसिंग से रिलेटेड यूटिलिटीज हैं। एक चीज़ जो मैं आपको ख़ास तौर से इंट्रोड्यूस कराना चाहता हूँ आज की वर्कशॉप में, दैट इज़ ग्रास जीआईएस। There's two ways to start it. One is to actually, because people, and the only thing that they find difficult with it is starting it. Once they start it, they're good at it. They don't need to do very complicated things. If you want to learn further about this, I would, before anything else, show you what is there online to do with it. So you can go for Marcus Leckler's book. He's the lead developer on it, and it says Grass GIS. And I think it's got like several editions available. And that book was the one that actually helped me learn a lot of it. So yeah, this is the book. And since it's like not a very difficult one to get, so you can pretty much order it. I think there's a data set available online. There's an image gallery as well. So you can pretty much look through the book and see the contents here, and then you can find the book and get it. It's not going to be very expensive, even if you buy it online. So this gives you an insight into all exercises, and you can find these exercises in workshops online as well. So you don't really need to worry about के पता नहीं कैसे होंगी. So that's not going to be difficult. Uh, so you go to grass, and once you click grass here, I mean you can actually open it from here as well. यहाँ पर जाके you go just and click grass and it's going to open for you. And it's nevertheless going to start this thing for you. The best thing is to actually once you open it, this is the better way of starting it. You click on the download button because you don't have anything to start with right now. Grass requires you to start with a location and a map set. So generally, what happens is, okay, if I show you here, grass locations and map sets. So what really happens is that it's more like a database, and in every of those databases, you have a workspace. So what really would happen is that you're going to have an organization like this. This is how the GRASS GIS database is organized. So you have a main database where GRASS works. And if I go to my VM again, this is my home user GRASS data. So the basic directory that it creates is a database. There are three different kinds of database that it creates. You can set it manually. By default, it goes for SQLite. It can go for Postgres kind of databases, and it can go for MySQL kind of databases as well. The good thing is that it manages the database for you automatically. So you don't need to run any database management commands. It's just that you have to know this link. The rest of the management is done by the software for you. And it doesn't really get you into the difficulty of having to run and work and everything on your own database. So if you look at it, this is the GRASS database. Then you have the location. So in every GRASS database, you're going to have one location. And in that, you're going to have a map set. And in that map set, you're going to have this permanent map set that's going to be the baseline map set. And then you can create sub map sets depending on the kind of data you want to put in there. And then that you can have rasters, vector data, 3D rasters, and temporal data sets, time series data sets. And this is something that makes it, in my opinion, exceptionally good, because जब आपके पास ये 3D रास्टर को भी हैंडल कर रहा है, टेम्पोरल को भी हैंडल कर रहा है, तो आप बहुत सारे ऐसे काम हैं जो जीआईएस में थोड़ी सी एडवांसमेंट के साथ होते हैं, और वो ये करने के लिए मतलब बाय सोर्स ये केपेबल है। आपको कहीं जाना नहीं पड़ता, कोई एक्सटेंशन इंस्टॉल करनी पड़ती, इट जस्ट वर्क्स नेचुरली। So this is my GRASS database directory. I can change it if I want to, but I would not want to do that since I'm used to keeping the default. Then I'll go for new. When I go for new, I can create a location, but the problem here would be the complexity of creating it and having source data for it. So I do not do that. I'll rather go with the download part. I'm going to download the basic NC location that is North Carolina. Remember if, or I could do a word location in latlog because it's going to take less time and it will create quickly. So I'm going to click on the download button. Forget about these lines at the back. You're going to get these error-like lines, but just forget about it. Unless obviously there is an issue with the permission denied thing. So that's why it's not able to do it. So I'm going to stop it. Yes. Sorry about that part. I'm just going to fix that in a while. I'm going to go with grass here, and I'm going to run it with the sudo command. And it's going to ask me for my password. Nothing is going to show on the screen. So what I'm going to do is you're going to type your password, and there you go. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create the download thing. I'm going to create the and I have the permanent and the user one map set already downloaded. The next thing that I can do is I can just try to look for where the enter button would be. So I'll have to adjust the window size automatically, or I'll just click enter and it will take me there. So it's going to open a grass utility. This is written in WX Python, by the way, this GUI. The previous ones were in C. Here you're going to see a hung up screen. So just click on enter. And if you are like bothered by these error messages, just type clear and that's fine. That's not going to hamper any of your work. The software is fine, it works fine. It's telling me that I'm in the word location and I am in the word location here. So this is actually the layer manager. The layer manager in Grass is a very elaborate one because it's got all the tools in it as well. And this is the viewer. So this is the map display box that it has. Previously, we would not have this as such. It was a TCL TK view, and that was not a very fascinating one. Nevertheless, it was special. So if I look at these buttons, this is a new display window. If I need to have two display windows, I can have two at the same time. And this is very interesting because I can have two map types open separately and I can see them side by side if I want to. The other important thing is that, and obviously I have the layer select and select functions still available in here. Then I have workspace if I would like to create, uh, if I would like to open and I'll save a workspace file. If I would like to open a layer from the map set, so I can do that. I can pick another map set if I would like to do that as well. 3D raster, I don't have any. Raster, I don't have any. Vector, yes, I do have one. It is in the user one profile or permanent, I'm not sure, but it is in the permanent workspace. So I can pick my side point, click on apply. And okay, it will not work because I'm not in the given map set. I started with the user map set, so that's one of the reasons. I can do the switching later on. This is for the raster, this is for the vector. You can add these maps and it will start showing you uh, on the screen. Here I will again have these commands. Just press your enter button and these would be gone. It's all cleared up, so hopefully that will not be an issue either. I'll see the map set function. So what I'll do is I'll type g.mapset and I'm going to type help and it's going to tell me what are the options that I have available. So my current or change report map set function is this one. Since I'm in the map set, that is not the one that has the data in it, and it doesn't have a data because if I type g.list and vectors, it does have, but it's not in the same map set that I am in right now. So what I'll do is I'll type g.mapset, and then I'm gonna uh, go for the map set that I want to go. I'm gonna type permanent. If the spelling is right, there should be no issue. So I have my map set switched. So I'm in now the map set that has the maps in it. I'm gonna see if I'm right about that. Yes. I'm gonna click OK. Why is it not showing these maps? Don't do that today. Mhm. That. Oh, not doing that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna rather download another grass workspace. This one has some topology issues, so I don't want to get into that right now. I'm gonna exit it. Permission issues. I don't want to get into permission thing right now. I don't have to password type the password again. I'm going to delete this one. I will download the basic NC location. It might gonna take a while, but it would still be better than the one that I downloaded because those files had probably some issues. सॉरी आपको थोड़ा सा, but I'm gonna press enter and I'm going to like this, and there you go. So this is the raster datasets that came with my map set. I can pick any one and it starts showing me those maps. So this is how it generally works. I could remove all of them if I feel like. Just click right and remove. I will remove. I can go for the vector type as well. 3D raster, I don't have any. Vector are here, and you can actually get to see your vectors as well. Some of the functions that I've really found amusing and very good in GRASS is the fact that it helps you process a large number of data sets very quickly. The rest of the functions are the same. You can click uh, on a map here. You're going to start clicking. You're going to get this uh, information as well on how it was created and stuff all as well. If you go to the command line, which I usually prefer using, here you're gonna see that you can go to any of your GRASS file and type g.list vector, and you're gonna get so many vectors. And if I click on one of these vector, and if I get r.info for that, so I'm gonna get no, sorry for that, v.info. And then I'm gonna type my vector's name here. Uh, it's going to give me some information on that particular vector file that I just clicked for. The good thing is that it's not something that you want, you would have a lot of problem with. This is the basic information. And if I go for the raster thing, I'm going to type g.list type raster. And it's going to tell me the names of the rasters that I have. So I'm going to pick maybe a certain raster. I'm going to actually what I do is when I type this command here and I need to get out of here, I press the Q key. Q is for column, I would say. So Q is the key that I press for getting out of that list. Here I'm going to type r.info, and then I'm going to type maybe basins or elevation or whatever the file name was. It's going to give me the info. It's going to also tell me how this was created. So I have a history of how this particular map set was created. And once I have this history, I can use it for other purposes and gives me the extent and the basic cell type. So it's actually floating point cells. And you have the number of rows given, the number of column given, the number of no, F cell is something else, I guess. So I'll just have to see. And the number of categories that are there as well. So there are 255 categories that are in there. This is something that usually works very well. Generally, when you are working with GRASS, sometimes you might need to start working with your own data set. So for that matter, I mean, if I look at my data folder here, and I want to create something for these Lancet files, which is the most beloved data set we have. We have other data sets as well. We have these raster files here, and we have these Meris files here. The good thing why we use Lancet a lot is because you get them pre-processed in TIFF format. And that's something that a lot of people like because NetCDF initially would be very difficult to handle. This dataset is the North Carolina dataset. I could have downloaded this as we use this rather. And then we have these spatial light datasets and some OSM datasets. So you can use any of them. But what I'll do is, and it's actually, I would need to get a link to this dataset. So this is in home product, that's my username, data, and Lancet. So what I would do is I'll go there. I'll type cd/home. I just type the first letter and press tab and it takes me there. And then it's gonna ask me data and I'm gonna type Lancet. And there you go, I'm in the Lancet folder. I'm gonna clear this, raise the font size a little because I'm sure it's getting too small to read now. 12 would be fine. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually list the files that I have available by typing ls or dir or just l. It doesn't work. Okay, fine. So what would really happen is you have these files and these are raster files. Sometimes I would be interested in getting information on them. So what I could do is, and they're not in my GRASS GIS software. So if they're not in my GRASS GIS software and I still need info on them, the good thing with OS GeoLive is that I can do that. And how will I do it? I'll go for R, no, not R dot info command. I'm going to type Jidal info clip 10 dot tip, and there you go. My info file is there. And this is something quite interesting because if I have a lot of data sets and I would like to know what APSG authority base code it's using, I would be interested. So what I would do is I'm going to type for I in static.diff to Jidal info. I'm going to run a loop. The files are going to be $I. I'm going to save them in a variable because I did it for I is the variable that I created with all the files that have .diff extension to them. I did my Jidal info, went to $I, and then I said grep. I piped it, and then I created my value for the grep, and I wanted to see what it would have, and then I'm going to type done, and let's see what it does. Something wrong. Yes, there you go. It gave me the ESPG from all of them. And if I look at first tag, the ESPG tag, that is 7030, and they seem to be all in the same projection system. EPSG is European Petroleum Survey Group uh, identifiers for projections that we use. Like, I mean, there can be 4236 for UTM that we use, and there's other that we use for other projection systems. So, I mean, you 4326 here. So it is actually in fine with us. This is another one that is the Google, the one that Google use. So this is a good one as well, if you would like to go with that. But what you would do is you could probably pick any of these uh, uh, any of these uh, uh, the software and import them without an issue. But I cannot import them in the GRAS workspace that I'm working in. So what I'll do is I'll list the files. I'm going to type for I in static.diff. And no, not that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to create a variable. First, I need to create a new location. So what I have in my GRAS database right now, I'm going to go my home folder. I'm going to go into GRAS data, and I have this directory which will store my add-ons, extensions. And this is the basic one that I'm working in. And if I look inside it, I don't see anything understandable altogether. But as I said, it's a MySQL thing that GRAS sort of shows you like this. And SQLite, sorry, this is the DB. And it manages it on its own. So you don't need really bother about it. You just let it do. It creates these files on its own. And none of these files can actually be opened the way you would usually open other files. You will not see anything in them. So just leave it to GRAS for manage them for you. If I was using Postgres, MySQL, it would have actually been showing that to me here. But this is the one that I'm working on, NC Basic SP MGRAS. But if I want to create a new one, for that I need to do something called r.in.jidal. This is a GRAS command, and usually whenever I'm using a GRAS command, I'm gonna actually type the letter or help next to it so that I get the command options on my screen that I can use for actually using that particular command. So there is an input name, there's an output name, there is a band, there's a memory that I would like to allocate a target ground control point target location. If you want to, you don't need to always specify that. A title if you would like to do, an offset. Uh, these are some advanced options that you would not be using right now. You're gonna let them, and they were actually not there in the previous versions. So I am actually interested now to know about them more. So I'm sure you have understood that I don't know much about them either at the point. I've not dug well into it. Location, the one that I would like to create. So this is one location that I'm working in, and I would like to create a new location. So I'm going to mention that. So I have these list of files which are all in the same projection. I'm going to type r.in.jadal, and I'm going to type E, that is for extending. Now there's an E tag here. There are these tags with dash. Extend region action based on the new test set. Let me tell you something about regions. GRAS has this very peculiar way of actually identifying regions, and it works in that regions. So when we were previously printing on our screen, these things like the upper left, the lower left thing, what it can do is it actually limit that to a certain amount, because I might not be interested. I might have data for the entire country or South Asia, but I might be interested in working on one city. So what GRAS will help me do it will help me determine the region that I want to work on. It will not use extra processing power. It will not ask me to do intermediate steps. It will not ask me to export all of my files, crop all of my files separately, and then bring them into a new workspace and then work on them. No, it will just limit the computational region, and it will limit that computational region so that I will uh, I will be able to actually uh, save my computational processing speed and energy on the system that I'm like exerting the force on the system to do all of that. So what I can do is I can go back to it, r dot in dot dot e, and then I'm going to select my input file. So I'll pick one of these files from here because they're all fine. So I'm going to type clip 10.diff, and I'm going to type an output, and I'm going to call it the base file. I'm going to give a location name, and then I'm going to say this is my Landsat location. So I'm going to type ls location, all caps, all small. All small is usually better in naming your workspaces. It helps. So there you go. My location is created, but I'm still not in that location. So I'll have to exit from here. That will stop my grass working. And I'm going to type sudo grass again. To be a sudo means I'll have more control on how directories are created. I'm going to pick my respective location here, and I'm going to go select my permanent thing, and I'm going to go with enter. The file that I just imported, it's here. I'm going to click OK. Sorry, once only, not twice. Select it, and I'm going to see the Landsat image that I just imported. I'm going to close the GUI because I don't want to work in the graphical user interface ever, unless it's very necessary. And then I'm going to list the file that I just imported. So I'm going to type raster, and it's going to show me the base file. The next thing that I can do with it is that I could, but then I had other files as well. So I'm going to go back to the same directory that I was previously working in. Uh, and in this data folder, I'm going to type directory, and then I'm going to go to my Landsat, and I'm going to type ls as well. Now I have these 4 files. I want them imported. There could be 100 files, and I don't want to actually import them one by one because that's going to be quite hazardous and time consuming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it again. I'm going to save all in a variable called I. It could be any other variable, and I could type the tiff file. So it's going to be static.tiff. Do r.in.jadal dash e input is equal to $I, output is equal to. Now, this is one thing that I can do. I can type $I, and the same names will be kept, but I don't want this diff extension imported because I don't need that. A grass does not understand. Once it's in the grass data format, it will not need the diff extension against it. So usually what I do is I use uh, these hashes for putting in a command, and I'm going to type echo $I. So I'm going to echo this file, and I'm going to use a command that Linux uses, cut dash d dot dash f1. So f1 is like I'm picking the first part of it. Or what I could do is I could actually pick some other thing, and this gets very useful later on. Right now, I mean, obviously, and then I'm going to select done. So what it would do is it will actually echo the file name. It will like it will actually reiterate in its memory. अच्छा इसका नाम clip 20 था. अच्छा clip 20 तो था, पर ये मुझे कह रहे हैं कि डिलीमीटर पिक करें डॉट, और इस डिलीमीटर की बेसिस के ऊपर जो फर्स्ट डिलीमीटर के, ये डिलीमीटर हो गया, इससे पहला जो पहला फील्ड है, द फर्स्ट फील्ड बिफोर द डॉट फंक्शन इज क्लिप 30. अगर ये डबल डॉट होता क्लिप डॉट 30 डॉट क्लिप, तो फिर ये सिर्फ क्लिप पार्ट पिक करता, and then it's going to be the one, and then it's going to be done. The next thing that it's going to do, as soon as I print enter, there's something that I did wrong, right? Yeah, in aesthetic. And I'm going to present it, and did it do it? So what it did was it echoed the first part, and that's what I wanted. So what I have right now is g.list raster, and I have the first part here. Now the base file is the clip10 file, so I don't need it. And since I don't need it, I'm going to press Q. I'm going to g.remove, and I'm going to look for the help function as well, because it's a good idea to see what the function offers. And I'm going to type the g.remove again. I'm going to type R for recursive, and then I'm going to type F for force removal. And I'm going to type the type of file that I would like to remove. I'm going to mention raster, give its name. If I want to remove all of them, I can write another loop. I'm not going to get to that right now. And then I'm going to say, okay, it did it. So now when I type my g.list raster, I don't have that file at all. I'm going to clear it. I'm going to clear this as well. The next thing that I can do with these files is maybe create an RGB. So I'm going to type r.rgb, and I'm going to see if it is letting me do that, or if there's a command of the sort that it exists. Oh yeah, it does exist. So what do I have as file? g.list.raster, a dash raster, and I've got 20, 20, and 30. So it's like band 10, band 2, band 3, and I'm going to type the r.rgb command. And I don't really need to work on the command line all the time. So I could actually create a file. So I'm going to name the RGB sample. Then I'm going to go to the optional part. If there is a file that I would like to overwrite, I can do that. I can pick 10 for RGB. This is going to be the command line output. If I would like to read more about it, no, it doesn't actually. It splits, so it doesn't create. Oh my God. So I'll have to go with something else. I'm sorry. I think it would be i.rgb. Let me clear that. It did not find it. I.composite maybe? R.composite, no. Why is it very difficult to remember these commands? Because you will never remember these commands. And the good thing that you can do is you can actually go here and go to the respective manuals. And this is a version 8.2 already available, the development version. But what I would do is GIS version 7 commands, and I'm gonna go for these commands here. So what I could do is I could click on the quick start, and once I'm there, I could go for other things as well. Other things are like the commands, the main topic, the topic index, and everything, and the full index. This is the full index. There's going to be all of these commands mentioned. Sometimes you have to search, sometimes you remember them by heart. I mean, I could not. They're the database commands. They're very useful for people who are working with complex databases. These are the access commands. These are good commands, actually very useful. And then you have these commands that you have for imageries, and then you have these commands that you have for uh, actually other things, like some here are for 3D, some here are for measurement. And then you have post-script output. This is a variant that we would create previously, but people don't. And then there is R basin, R blend, R buffer that you could use for the rasters as well. And if you go further, the more you go, the more you find, and there's the 3D command, the 3D rasters commands, and they're good as well. And beyond that, I mean, you have several other commands as well. So if you'd like to work on vectors and try to build something, or so the vector commands are there as well. So from that point of view, it's a complete uh, software. I mean, I would say that there are certain things. If I would like to do volumetric analysis, I can do them on vectors with the help of graphs, and that's a good thing. I mean. Anyhow, so I would type the r.composite. It's gonna ask me red के लिए which one I want to use, green के लिए मैं क्या करना चाहता हूँ, या what would I want to do with for the blue one. The good thing is I could type r.composite, press enter, select 3, 2, 1, RGB example, and press enter. My composite has been created. I would like to see it. So I'm going to type g.gui and I'm going to type help. And once I do so, it will tell me what kind of GUI I would like to use. So this limited number of options now. WX Python is the one that I would use for I'm sorry, my internet probably fluttered a little. And once I'm here, I would, so this is the default. We used to have TCL TK. So if you have GRASS 6 or GRASS 5, the user interface would be different. I mean, GRASS 5 GIS user interface. Actually, that was more interesting. That's why I'm trying to show you. But still, I mean, this one works well, so that should not be an issue.
अब तो 8 आ गया है.
जी क्या आ
I was
गया है
saying अब
8?
तो सर GIS GIS 8 आ गया है.
जी, बट वो भी अच्छे यूजर इंटरफेसेस थे, इसलिए कह रहा हूँ. ये वाले थे, वो इस तरह के थोड़े दिखते थे, थोड़े डिफरेंट. मतलब obviously the overall outline is the same, but the feel was different and they were more robust. दूसरी चीज जो यहाँ पर important है वो ये है कि if I go for the grass.gui command, it will start showing me the GUI command altogether on the screen. I just need to select my files, press OK, and there you go. So this is the SRTM file that it had. SRTM visualization थोड़ी सी ऐसी ही होती है. And then there is an RGB that is showing here on the screen. The process was seamless, it's smooth, it moves fast. The quality of the RGB that it creates, I would not say it is a very good one for that. But the processing that it does is awesome. The classification that it does is way better. If I would like to actually create a surface profile, all that I need to do is pick one of the rasters. I could do it for, say, that matter, this one. Create a line on the screen here using this. And it's going to show me a graph of raster values. If you're working on an elevation data set for that matter, that is very useful because I'll show you that here. I'll go with the SRTM. Open a display window. So I've opened multiple GUIs. I'm sorry for that. So I'm going to go with the SRTM thing. I'm going to display it here. And if I would like to create a surface profile, and the good thing is that I could have opened the RGB at the back and still run the surface profile because it lets me choose a file later on. So I could do that, and it's going to show me the surface profile or the raster values. These were for the RGB. The ones that I just created now, it's not the one actually. So I have to actually pick the right file, SRTM. Okay. And then I'm going to go here. Yeah, this is the SRTM profile that it created for me. And another thing that I can do with it is actually I could change the settings. I could change the plot settings if I wanted to. And I could export these files as CSV data or save the display as it is and create a graph in some other software, which really helps with good report writing and assignments that students generally do. So that's some of the things that you can do with your GRAS OS Geo and your GRAS GIS software all together. You will be finding these kind of errors. Just don't get faced by them. Don't really mind them because what GRAS really does for you is exceptional. Now, while by default there's a lot of utility installed, there's another thing that is available in GRAS. I'm sorry, but stop muting me, guys. Just give me a second. तो आमिर आपका माइक ऑन है अगर आप इफ यू कैन प्लीज So what you will really have is you're going to have these particular this particular situation where you could actually, list the extensions that you have available to you. One thing that Grass does really well is its extensions. I mean, it offers you a variety of options for uh, for uh, for actually working on your uh, working on your GIS related tasks. So if I would like to list them, it's going to get the list from the source directory that it has, and there's going to be like quite a few of them. So I don't know how many altogether these are listed, but I think there are more than 100 altogether. And while it has these built-in functions, it has these additional ability that it has to offer its users. So that's a good thing. So if I have to do I.CVA for that matter, so or maybe denoise or CPT to grass, crater, dam flood, denoise, divergence, diversity, you speak of it and it can do it for you. So what I would do is I just going to list the help again. I need to an extension to download. So what I would do is G extension, and then I'm gonna mention the flag that is uh, for the extension that I need. The default thing that it's going to do is install that extension for you. And I'm going to paste the name of the extension. It's going to fetch that extension. And install it. So if I go for I.CVA and type help, I'm going to get the things that it can do for you. And one thing that it does is this change vector analysis in 2 dimensions. So if I would like to know more about the change vector analysis that it does, or generally, or I would like to see the source code, I could actually go on the GIS and see the source code for this particular GLASS extension. and learn to develop my own extensions at a later stage in life or career, I mean, I would say. But uh, this is something that you could do at a later stage if you're working. Uh, I'm sorry, you guys. So this is something that you could actually work on. My internet probably on the screen is a little slow, so I'll probably work on this one here. But I dot cv8 grass, and I'm gonna find what it does. It is something that people do. It's going to give you a bit of a lesson on why it is done. It is a good change detection analysis, which people compare to raster maps. And it's going to give you the possibility of actually creating them. Now, there's many GIS software that they do not they that do not create these actually. I mean, these software are very unique in that context, because if you want to do that, probably the other software that would do it in a similar fashion, that it's showing you the map and the change classes. The change classes is like from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. That is, I think it's Idrisi, a software that does it. But again, I mean, if you can get it in Grass, why would you go for another software? And it's going to give you the color rules. If you would like to give it the color rules, it can assign the colors for you. And this is fine. And the RGB file for the colors. And this is again a good thing, because in other software that are off the shelf, this kind of flexibility is very rare to find. Okay, you could not set these kind of color rules. You have to actually go for 1, 2, 3. So if I have 100 maps, I want to have them on the same color scheme. It makes life very interesting and easy for me. So this is do. I mean, if I would like to calculate albedo, that can be done. If I would like to do something else, maybe, and the source code. There you go. I click here, I get the source code. I can see what it does. I would like to get the source code. It's going to be in Python. There you go. How it does it, good enough for me to understand. If you would like to use any of the built-in rules for colors, you can do that. If you would like to go for like your own rules, go for that as well. And you can implement more rules actually as well here. So that's a good thing in my opinion if you're working with a software environment such that of grass GIS. Of the other things that you can do here is the fact that you can export files from here as well. And I would like to actually show you how that is done. And that is, if you would like to loop it out, even that is possible. But r.out.jadal, and I'm going to type the help here. It's going to tell me what I need to do. So I'm going to say, for that matter, the input file would be of the type, sorry, the name that I had, clip 10 maybe. Clip 10 would be fine. So I'm going to pick clip 10, output clip 10, and then I have quite a number of formats available. So this is a good thing. You can pick one of the formats that you like. You can pick more formats if you like, or whatever. And I'm going to type the output. So that's the same as well. And I'm going to pick probably TIFF here. And I'm going to not mention anything, because the TIFF is the default one that it does. If I would like to type any of these floating point data sets, integer data sets, I could do that as well. Going to press enter, and there's nothing that says output. Oh no, it has output, but that's there's a file by that name that exists in the directories. I'm going to call it output 10 underscore 1. Nothing happened, just relax. And this is going to be uh probably But why is it not showing it? Interesting. Click in. For some reason, okay, so the no data value is present in the raster, and I do not, the software does not want me to use the default no data value. So I'm going to pick a no data value of my own choice. And that's one thing that maybe in GRAS is going to be something that you would like to look into when you are exporting your data sets. It not always is the case, but here in particular case, uh, this is here. The default no data value, I think, is not mentioned here. But what I will do is I'll type maybe minus 9999, and it again is not gonna work. So I'm gonna take 0 for that. And again, there's an error. So there's something that I think I will not be able to solve right now because of the fact that if I go with the value that is bigger than the ones, it would not accept. And if I go with the value that never happened with me. I'll rather export this and I'll consider that a bug and I'll try to see what's really wrong later on. But should have not been the case, to be very frank. Now here it is exported, but I would like to see the r.out.jdal for a debug here because I don't know if that was something that should have happened. So yeah, I could have forced it, but I do not want to do that. So I'll leave it to that for the time being. And I'll look at my exported raster. So for that, I can probably open Gen for that matter, or maybe QGIS. This variety of formats that it actually helps you. And the good thing is that it has got like these DXF file and everything that you could directly import into it. So that's a good thing about this OpenJump software altogether. This is my data folder. This is the Lancet one. This is the RGB. Click on finish. Might just be a bit of a buggy thing here, but I'll have to assign a color table here. So I would not go with that, but I'll go with the traditional one. Open it as a raster, go to the data folder, Lancet RGB. There you go. Your raster is here. And this is one thing that makes it viable. The good thing again here is that you have these database connections and everything else that you have available. So you can work on them if you need to do so. I'll have to stop it here. You will be getting obviously this recorded since the session is recorded, so you can use that. And I'll open your mics to give you a chance to ask questions if anyone has them. And then we're gonna stop our today's session here, but that does not mean that it is over for good. We're gonna continue to work on different software and different exercises later on. But this is a basic introduction on how to get started with GRASS, GIS all together. In the meantime, I had been running an installation at the backend. So that installation I can continue. It was a safe state. And since it was in a safe state, the system is going to restore itself. And that's a good thing about virtual machines again, because they're quite capable machines. And there you go. It's going to start an installation on the side while we speak. I'm going to go to the settings here. I'm going to enable your mics. Just let me check. So yes, if there's anyone who wants to ask a question, go ahead. I'm sure you are able to work with your mics or not.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So yes, someone was raising their hand. So if they have a question, please.
सर ये कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर आपने भी बताया ग्रास जीएस सर इसमें और बाकी कौन से हम सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करते हैं लाइक आरजीएस और क्यूजीएस तो सारी यूटिलिटीज लाइक सेम थी बस उसके अंदर बस हम कमांड लाइन पे दे रहे हैं इसके अंदर और उनके अंदर हम बस वो उसके ऊपर आइकॉन्स के जरिए करते हैं तो बेसिक डिफरेंस क्या है इसके अंदर क्या यूज करने का क्या फायदा है हमें ग्रास जीएस
यूटिलिटीज ज्यादा है। दूसरी बात ये कि आपको जब ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में काम करते हैं तो लाइसेंसिंग का इशू नहीं है, because you don't have to pay that cost for licensing in organization. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जब आप यूज करेंगे तो आपको लाइसेंसिंग कॉस्ट पड़ती है। जब कंपनी आपको हायर करेगी तो वो कहेगी कि यार ठीक है, आपको काम तो आता है, बट जिस चीज पे आपको काम आता है वो मुझे बहुत महंगा पड़ रहा है। आप समझ ली मेरी बात?
जी सर
तो कंपनी वो फिर चीज खरीद नहीं सकती, और कंपनी जब वो चीज खरीदने की कोशिश करती है तो उसको जाहिर है ओवरहेड हो जाता है। सो पहले वो सैलरीज दे, उसके बाद फिर वो ये लाइसेंसिंग भी करे और फिर रेगुलर बेसिस पे करे, तो वो मुश्किल काम है। प्लस अगर कोई एडिशनल यूटिलिटी चाहिए तो फिर वो सेलर को कांटेक्ट करे और सेलर वो बना के दे। इसमें ये फायदा है कि जो आप ही की टीम है वो काम भी इसी पे करेगी, और अगर कोई डेवलपमेंट ओवर एंड अबव होनी है तो वो ही टीम वो डेवलपमेंट भी करेगी।
ओके सर
वो आसानी हो जाती है। Anyone else? If they have anyone has a question?
सारे सोए पड़े
अच्छा, चलिए कोई नहीं। तो मैं फिर मीटिंग अभी खत्म कर देता हूँ। इंशाल्लाह फिर इसके जो फॉलो अप सेशंस होंगे, तो डेफिनेटली वील शेयर विद यू, और ये रिकॉर्ड भी होंगे, तो फिर इंशाल्लाह आपको सॉफ्टवेयर का भी बहुत ज़्यादा पता भी लग जाएगा। ठीक है?
यस सर
चलिए, थैंक यू सो मच शाह फॉर बीइंग अटेंटिव एंड एक्टिव, and everyone else, thank you so much for being present as well.
सर मैंने किया था सर ubuntu डाउनलोड की थी और ग्रास किया था ग्रास ये से लेकिन सर वो बस आपके साथ ही कमांड लाइन पे लिख रहा था लेकिन कुछ समझ समझ इतनी नहीं आई कोशिश की है करने की
आ जाएगी, फिर टाइम आ जाती है, इतना मुश्किल नहीं होता। But nevertheless, I mean, Atik was here, he was active all the time. So thank you so much, Atik, and Nazar as well, and everyone else who were here as well. So thank you and hope to see you in the follow up. Inshallah, I'll keep sharing जो भी अपडेट्स होंगी, और ये जो रिकॉर्डिंग है ये भी मैं आपसे शेयर कर लूँगा।
थैंक यू सर।
ठीक, थैंक यू सर। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
अल्लाह हाफिज़ सर।